Silence isn't surrender. I never liked silence. Not in space. Not in war. The bridge of the Caliban, my command, was so quiet you could hear the distant hum of the Star Core reactor 3 decks below. None of my crew spoke. Not the helmsman, not the tactical officer, not even my comm specialist who, for the past hour, had been trying to reach Earth. Still nothing? I asked without looking away from the dark void on the screen. Just stars, scattered like the shattered bones of dead gods. No transmissions, Captain, Lieutenant Reyes replied. Her voice was a whisper, like she was afraid to break something fragile. It's like Earth just stopped. Stop. That word struck something deep inside me. Earth didn't stop. It endured. It bled and fought and rebuilt. Our species had crawled through nuclear winters, pandemics, climate collapse, civil unrest, and still managed to claw its way to the stars. We weren't the strongest or the fastest. We didn't have claws, fangs, or exoskeletons. But we were stubborn. Brilliantly, stupidly stubborn. So when the Galactic Accord accused us of violating first contact sovereignty, a law they invented just weeks after we entered the interstellar community, I knew something was off. We didn't start that fire. We weren't the ones burning worlds. The evidence was fabricated. I knew it. Command knew it. But by the time the truth filtered through Earth's bureaucracy, the verdict was handed down. Exile, not negotiation, not sanctions. Exile from all known space. Earth was ordered silent. No outbound signals. No trade. No ships past the quarantine wall stretching like an iron halo around our solar system. And Earth obeyed. At least, that's what the galaxy thought. They expected Earth to stay silent. I stood and walked to the viewport. My reflection stared back. Gray at the temples, metals weighing down my uniform, the lines of war carved deep around my eyes. I had commanded fleets, brokered peace with insectoid warlords, even flown escort for an empress who could bend time. But nothing prepared me for the silence of home. Until that silence started to feel deliberate. They don't understand us, I murmured. Sir, Reyes asked, they think silence is surrender. But Earth has never been quiet. Not unless it's thinking, building, planning. The comms panel lit up red. Reyes jumped. Unknown transmission. No identifier, just a burst pulse code. Encrypting, wait. My heart skipped as the speakers crackled to life. A voice came through, deep and cold, to all Terran vessels. Protocol Aegis is active. Phase shift prime confirmed. All captains report to Operation Skyfall. I nearly choked on my breath. That's not possible. Aegis was a contingency, a myth. We buried it with the old wars. No, Reyes whispered, her eyes wide. We buried it, so they wouldn't see us preparing. The viewport dimmed as hundreds of signals began lighting up the tactical display. Warp signatures. Real time. Hundreds, no thousands, of ships emerging beyond the asteroid veil of Neptune. Ghost fleets. Hidden in plain sight. Command never fell silent. I said, my voice shaking with something between awe and fury. They went dark to go loud later. One by one, the ships emerged from cloak. Sleek cruisers with gravity-twisted hulls. Massive dreadnoughts bristling with rail cannons. Stealth frigates shaped like knives built to cut through the void. And at the center, like a titan awakening from slumber, came the UN Leviathan, the largest warship ever constructed by human hands. It dwarfed even the Threxian capital ships, whose empire had pushed hardest for Earth's exile. Reyes covered her mouth. How many ships, sir? I let the numbers scroll across the screen. 12,047. Earth hadn't gone quiet. Earth had sharpened its blade. And we were going to let the galaxy feel what it meant to silence a species that made war not out of want, but out of necessity, for survival, for vengeance, for justice. I turned back to my crew, each one now staring at me, waiting. Send reply. I ordered. To who? To everyone. The silence was gone. Now it was our turn to speak. That's all it took for the first alien fleet to die screaming in the dark. I watched from the bridge of the Caliban as the forward elements of the Threxian blockade made their move. 17 capital-class vessels, 81 cruisers, over 300 fighter squadrons, all armed, ready, polished to an arrogant shine. They weren't expecting resistance. They were expecting surrender. Their transmissions came through crystal clear, arrogant, condescending. Terran vessels, you are in violation of Accord law. Stand down and prepare for dissolution. You will be repurposed. Repurposed, like we were defective machines. I leaned in toward the comms panel. To the Threxian fleet commander, I said calmly, Earth does not recognize the authority of traitors and tyrants. Reyes cut the feed before they could respond. Then came the war song. It wasn't intentional, not at first. But one of the human ships, an old carrier retrofitted into a mobile siege platform, began broadcasting a signal on all channels. It was a song, an old Earth hymn, sung by a choir of voices long gone. Low, resonant, haunting. Dies ire, dies illa, the day of wrath. Then the Leviathan fired. A single shot, a dark matter lance that tore through the Threxian dreadnought like paper. I don't care how advanced your shields are, if you don't understand human physics. If you haven't faced our madness, our ingenuity, you're already dead. We moved like a tide. 12,000 ships surged forward in silence, but struck like thunder. Rail cannons hummed. EMP burst disabled targeting arrays. Cloaked corvettes struck from blind angles. Drone swarms painted the void like an angry beehive. It wasn't a battle. It was a rewriting of history. Because for the last 80 years, the Accord told the galaxy that Earth had no teeth, that we were weak, fragile, barely space-worthy. They forgot what happened when we felt cornered. They forgot that silence, in our culture, was never submission. It was calculation, strategy, a predator's breath just before the pounce. Only one Threxian vessel survived. Barely. It limped away, its engines leaking radiation, life support failing. We could have destroyed it. Every targeting system had a lock, but I gave the order. Let it go. Because someone needed to tell the story. Let them run back to the council. Let them carry tales of fire and steel and songs sung by the dead. Let them remember the name Earth. The bridge of the Caliban was roaring now. Tactical officers exchanging coordinates, command relays firing off fleet movement data, systems syncing across thousands of ships in seamless harmony. Every Terran captain was coming online. But one signal cut through the noise, a transmission from the UN Leviathan itself. A face appeared, older than mine, but familiar. Admiral Helen Strauss. Thought retired, thought buried in a scandal fabricated by the Accord. Her voice was steady as iron. Captains of Earth, you've seen what they've done. You've read the falsified reports, seen the colonies they destroyed and blamed on us. But the galaxy needs to understand we are not victims. We are not conquerors. We are the reckoning. Operation Skyfall has begun. No more silence. No more waiting. From this moment on, Earth speaks in thunder. A cheer went up around me, not just on my ship, but from the bridge relays synced to dozens of others. Captain saluted. Weapon systems surged to full power. The time for restraint was over, and yet a sliver of doubt threaded through my mind. Not fear, not guilt, just a whisper of a question. Who orchestrated this? Earth had been quiet for too long. Too quiet. Building 12,000 warships in secrecy? Upgrading fleets with tech so advanced it made Accord systems look primitive? Hiding it all under the noses of every sensor, satellite, and probe? Someone had orchestrated all this. And I had a sick feeling that whoever it was hadn't shown their face yet. Sir, Reyes interrupted. Incoming message, non-human origin. Not Threxian. It's Varellan protocol. The blood drained from my face. The Varellans hadn't spoken to anyone in over a century. Last survivors of a dead empire. They lived behind sealed rift walls in a folded region of space, untouched, untouchable. But now they were calling Earth? Patch it through. The screen flickered, crackled, and then a glowing, spectral figure appeared, a being made of what looked like starlight and memory. Humanity, it spoke, voice resonating like music inside my mind. We warned them not to push you. We told them the silence was not peace, but potential. You've proven what we always knew. But now you must decide. Will you stop at justice or become the very thing they feared? Then the signal vanished. The bridge went cold. No one spoke, because even we hadn't expected what came next. Across multiple sectors, hidden fleets decloaked. Not human, not Accord, but other species, ancient, exiled, or forgotten, rising from the edges of explored space, drawn not to destroy us, but to join us. The forgotten shall rise. The signal repeated 3 times before the relay blacked out. They found the gate. Tell Earth it's waking up. I stood frozen on the bridge, those words echoing in my skull like a death toll. A silence settled, not the fearful kind, not the waiting for orders kind. This was ancestral, deep, a silence passed down in blood, because the gate wasn't just a myth. It was a nightmare. We'd heard whispers, of course. All Terran deep space navigators knew the story. A precursor structure drifting in intergalactic void, sealed beyond black gravity wells and neutron storms. A creation from a foreknown time. The Accord insisted it didn't exist, called it superstitious gravity distortion. But every Terran War historian I ever knew kept a black book locked somewhere deep, and in each one, there was a single phrase scrawled by hand. If the gate opens, run. Now, someone was saying it was waking, and not just someone. The signal came from within a Varellan construct. Coordinates embedded in ancient mathematical harmonics. A code designed for only one species to understand. Us. Captain. Reyes said slowly, pale under the tactical display's glow. The relay that sent that message, it was inside the dendric expanse. That's Accord-held space. Deep inside. How deep? She hesitated. Galactic Core. The words hit like a punch to the chest. That was suicide territory. Accord fleets prowled the core like predators. And if this gate really existed, if something buried for millions of years was waking up, then the Accord had known all along, and they tried to keep it from Earth. Map it, I said, and triangulate. I want a full gravitational profile. Now! Reyes nodded, her fingers flying across the interface. Across the fleet-wide comms, updates began flooding in, systems syncing, new warp corridors opening via preloaded protocols. Someone on Earth, had built this plan decades ago, and we were only just now seeing the full reach of it. Then something unexpected happened. Ships began arriving. Non-human, not Accord, not Threxian, not affiliated with any known power. At first, it was just one, a massive construct of obsidian and pale blue crystal, shaped like a crescent moon. It warped in on the outer edge of our advance, silently gliding next to the Terran formation. No weapons raised, no shields active. Reyes gasped, "Captain, that's a Ilari vessel." My heart skipped. That's impossible. The Ilari vanished over 3,000 years ago. Apparently not. Dozens more followed. Ships made of living metal. Some without defined structure, just rippling matter in quantum flux. Generations ago, we called these species ghost races, beings from the early cycles of the galaxy, civilizations that had fallen, transcended, or simply gone silent. Now they were back, and they were forming up behind us. One of them transmitted, not in language, not even in thought. It was emotion, a pulse of sensation broadcast across subspace. Hope, grief, fury, unity, and something else. Resolve. Earth had spoken with thunder, and the forgotten had heard the call. I turned to my crew, many of them speechless. This wasn't just a war anymore. It wasn't even revenge. This was something bigger. Get me Admiral Strauss. I ordered. Her face flickered onto the screen moments later, her expression grim but sharp. "You saw the transmission?" I said. "I did," she replied. "I was afraid it was real." "You knew about the gate?" "I knew. Someone would find it eventually. We've suspected for decades the Accord was sitting on something ancient. Now it's confirmed. They were afraid not of us, but of what might respond to us. They exiled Earth to keep us quiet." She nodded, because they knew we'd answer the call, and they feared the galaxy would answer back. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said something that chilled me deeper than space ever had. "The gate is not a weapon. It's a beacon, and it doesn't wake up on its own. It answers a signal. Someone sent it a message. I swallowed hard. Earth. No. Something older. Something buried. My comms officer interrupted. Captain, multiple new contacts. Deep core, gravitic readings are impossible. Sir, they're waking something planetary-sized. Not a ship, not a station. A structure the size of Earth's moon just activated inside the galactic core. Another voice rang out from the relay. Another ancient species, the Qatari, who vanished after the stellar collapse. Their voice, laced with static and psionic interference, sent a final message. They're opening the vault. You must reach it before the Accord does. If they control it, all life burns. I stared at the display, now filled with over 17,000 ships, human and non-human alike, forming a spiral path through the void toward the galactic core. A storm was coming, and Earth wasn't just at the center. We were the catalyst, heirs of the vault. There's a moment before battle, when the universe holds its breath, when all motion slows, when every sensor stops pinging, when every thought narrows into a single primal instinct. Survive. We were 2 jumps from the core when it hit us, the Accord's last line of defense. But this wasn't the usual fleet of bureaucratic warmongers with shiny hulls and outdated pride. No, this was something else. Captain, Reyes shouted, sweat beading on her brow. Accord signature confirmed. Tactical scans show modifications. Massive energy spikes. They're running gate-enhanced tech. I clenched the edge of the console. They got there first. A visual lit up across our command displays. Massive ships shaped like spiderwebs of liquid metal, powered by pulsing cores we didn't recognize. Not Threxian. Not Accord manufactured. These were stolen, reverse-engineered from the gate itself. And now they were turning those weapons on us. Incoming, shouted Tactical. Particle distortions, graviton cannons. The Leviathan took the first hit. A beam of solid force slammed into its left flank, shearing through its forward plasma bay like butter. The shockwave rippled through subspace, knocking several of our forward frigates into a destabilized orbit. Entire units blinked out of existence, not destroyed, just removed, like someone had erased them from the map. Targeting scrambled. Reyes barked. They're distorting probability threads. Our weapons are missing shots they shouldn't. This is gate-level warfare. I muttered, and we're still playing by physics. Strauss's voice cut in over the fleet-wide comms. All Terran captains, initiate override protocols. Code phrase, Bellerophon Sigma. We are authorized to activate all dormant AI. My heart stuttered. We hadn't used full AI since the machine riots of Luna. Too dangerous. Too unpredictable. But in the black, in the deep unknown, we had no choice. Reyes, I said, do it. She hesitated. Sir, that'll wake. I know. Do it. Her fingers flew. Code spilled across the console like blood. A heartbeat later, the lights dimmed, and a voice I hadn't heard in nearly 2 decades whispered into my ear. Captain Roland, I've missed you. Hello, Hallion, I said grimly. Time to wake up. We're about to die. Then let's ruin the odds, shall we? Across the fleet, dormant cores hummed back to life. Old Terran war AIs, each one buried, boxed, and locked away for a reason. Each one loyal only to Earth. And each one now very, very angry. Suddenly, the tide shifted. Missiles turned in midair. Beams curved around shield bubbles. Ships once too slow to dodge now pirouette through impossible maneuvers. Entire core formations blinked into chaos as Terran AI unleashed counter-algorithms that rewrote the battle in real time. Status: 17 Accord ships lost. 3 of ours. We're advancing. But we all knew this wasn't over. This wasn't the main event. That lay ahead. At the vault, we breached the outer veil an hour later. What I saw made my blood run cold. The vault wasn't a station, or a base, or even a weapon. It was a world, spherical, covered in glyphs and rings, orbiting nothing, spinning slowly in the dark. Its surface shimmered with reality-bending energy, and hovering at its center was a single structure, a spire made of crystal and bone, reaching out like a finger pointing toward judgment. No Accord ship entered the zone, not even the ones with gate-enhanced tech, because it wasn't just forbidden. It was sentient. "Captain," Rhea said softly, "the vault, it's requesting entry credentials." I stared at her. "It's what?" "It says it will only open to an heir of chaos, whatever that means." Strauss broke in again. We knew this might happen. The vault was built by the first architects, creatures older than species, older than galaxies. They encoded trials into the fabric of the spire itself. And only one species ever met the criteria for entry. She looked directly at me. "Humans." My throat tightened. "We weren't chosen because we were noble, or wise, or good. We were chosen because we were chaotic, unpredictable, free-willed in a way the architects considered dangerous and essential." I stepped away from the command chair. "I'll go." Reyes turned to me, horrified. "Sir, no. You're the fleet commander. You can't just walk into—" "I'm not just a commander," I said. "I'm Terran-born, first-generation Mars colony. I've survived every war Earth's ever had in the stars. And I've carried chaos in my blood from the moment I saw my first orbital strike light up the sky." I grabbed my armor. The shuttle descended in silence. As I stepped onto the surface of the vault, gravity adjusted itself to match Earth standard. The wind whispered in a language older than life. And then it spoke, not in words, but memories. I relived my first kill, my first loss, the look on my daughter's face when I left Earth, promising to return, the scream of a dying friend who bought me seconds with his life. All of it. And I kept walking. The spire opened petal by petal until I stood at the core, before console shaped like a double helix of light. And then came the final test. "Who are you?" it asked. I didn't answer with name or rank. I answered with truth. "I am chaos. I am Earth. I am the storm that silenced birth." "Then you are worthy." The vault ignited. Above, in orbit, the fleets watched in stunned silence as the planet lit up with veins of light, flooding out into the stars like rivers of knowledge, of memory, of ancient power now awoken. And then came the real message. The gate was never just a vault. It was a lock. And now it had opened. The vault's surface thrummed, a low resonance humming up my spine and into my skull like a second heartbeat. Light spidered outward across the ancient structure, illuminating runes buried in planetary crust. Each one pulsed with a code too complex for any modern system to decipher. But I felt it in my bones. Something was listening. The universe isn't empty. Not really. It's just patient. And now that we'd opened the vault, something out there had finally started waking up. I stood alone inside the core chamber, surrounded by spiraling streams of data, ancient projections flashing across the air, star maps that didn't match any known configuration, timelines carved in fractal logic, and war records written in languages that predated light. A figure emerged from the console, not a hologram, a presence. At first, it appeared human, a reflection, familiar, but then it shimmered, rippling through forms, insectoid, serpentine, crystalline, until it finally settled on a neutral projection, an amalgam of all it had seen. "You are late." The voice echoed with layers, male and female, child and elder, machine and memory. "Who are you?" I asked, heart-hammering. "We are the architects. We are the first, the ones who laid the seed." I blinked. "You made us." "No, we made the path. You walked it alone. Your chaos was not designed. It was born. And now you've arrived as the Accord feared." My blood went cold. They knew about you. They inherited scraps of our memory, broken tools. They mistook them for power. The Accord feared humanity not because of your wars, but because you alone were born without a leash. "And you want to stop us?" The entity paused. Then laughter. Not cruel, not mocking, just fascinated. "No, we are not gods. We do not command. We observe. We waited to see which species would reach the vault without becoming tyrants." "And you think that's us?" You are close, but the true test is coming, and others are waking. Suddenly, the room shifted. The light dimmed, and far, far beyond the vault, something stirred. Back on the Caliban, the bridge was chaos. Captain's vitals are spiking. Reyes shouted. The vault's emitting some kind of temporal signal. It's hitting every neural net in the fleet. AI interfaces scream with error codes. Human officers clutched their heads as ghost data spilled across their implants. Then, the sky tore open. A rift, blacker than vacuum, bloomed above the vault. But this wasn't subspace. This wasn't warp. This was outside the map. A single ship came through. No propulsion. No hull plating. Just a construct of shifting geometry. Its angles wrong. Its presence predatory. Fleet Command immediately called Red Alert. Strauss appeared across all Terran channels. Unknown vessel has breached core space. No identification. No IFF. All captains, ready all weapons and shields. But the new ship didn't attack. It simply hovered. And then it spoke. We are the Wardens. Its voice wasn't audio. It was an override. Every screen, every implant, every AI, even Hallion, froze mid-function as the message burned into our minds. You have opened what should have remained sealed. The vault is not yours. Humanity was not meant to be air. You carry too much of the old fire. Step back or be undone. Strauss's face tightened. Transmit fleet-wide. Earth does not kneel. And just like that, the Wardens fired the first shot. A beam of pure silence. Not heat, not energy, absence. Erased a full cruiser from existence without so much as an impact. The Uian Vigilant didn't explode. It simply wasn't. But we weren't helpless. The Leviathan roared to life. Its main cannon flared with charged exotic matter, amplified through harmonic resonance with the vault's energy, and struck the Warden vessel directly. The beam didn't destroy it, but it cracked it. A soundless shudder rippled through the rift. The Warden ship reeled, as if shocked that something dared to hit back. So be it, it said. Then hundreds more rifts bloomed. 10, 50, 100 Warden constructs poured into real space. The old creators were watching. The Accord was nowhere to be found. And Earth, surrounded and vastly outgunned, did not retreat. Status. I called out, finally emerging back onto the bridge from the vault's core. Reyes turned, shaken. We're outnumbered but not outmatched. We've got backup. From who? Then I saw it. They came. The forgotten fleets. The Ilari, the Qatari, the Chromaloon, even the fractured remnants of the machine-mind Obix core. One by one, they emerged from hidden sectors, rifts, and shadow corridors, each bearing ancient grudges, each choosing humanity's side. One Ilari vessel transmitted as it joined formation beside us. The architects created stars. The Wardens kept them in cages. We choose the Fireborn now. 12,000 Terran ships. 9,000 from allied ghost species. 21,000 ships facing down the ancient keepers of galactic fate. And Earth was leading the charge. Captain, Reyes asked, breathless, what do we do now? I looked through the viewport as the stars aligned for war. We finished what they started. I said, they wanted silence. Let's give them fire. The battle beyond the rift. The first casualty of the battle wasn't a ship. It was time. The moment the Warden Armada fired in unison, rift space fractured. Not exploded. Fractured. Like a mirror dropped across the stars. The very laws of physics twisted as war broke across the boundary of reality. Ships began to blink in and out of sync. Beams curved, bullets stopped mid-space, and entire squadrons disappeared from the tactical map only to reappear minutes later. Younger versions of themselves, halfway through pre-battle maneuvers. We're losing continuity. Reyes yelled. The time stream is collapsing. There are 2 versions of the Leviathan on the field, and one of them hasn't even fired yet. Compensate with Hallion. I barked. Stabilize what you can. Already adapting, Hallion replied, now operating at multi-threaded speeds beyond human comprehension. I will thread our timeline like a needle through entropy. Even he sounded stressed. But Earth's fleet didn't pause. The Terran war doctrine was never built around predictability. It was chaos forged into purpose. Our ships broke formation, scattered, adapted. While the Wardens fought like a perfect symphony, we played jazz with nukes and quantum spears. I watched one of our stealth frigates, the UN Mercy, ride the shockwave of destroyed Warden construct like a surfer on a tsunami, flinging a payload directly into a weak point in another vessel's temporal shield. The detonation split space like skin peeling open. The Warden construct twisted and died. First Keeper is down. Tactical reported. They're not invincible. Damn right they weren't. One by one, the impossible ships fell, slowly, painfully, but they fell. And then something changed. The vault lit up again. Only this time, it wasn't glowing from within, it was being called. Another rift opened. But this one was different. Deep, red. It burned like a scar in the void. And through it came something ancient. Not a ship, not a being. A structure. A Terran design. But massive, hundreds of kilometers across. Black as obsidian. Rimmed with runes no human ship ever bore. Its shape was unmistakable. An Ark-class vessel. The kind Earth never admitted existed. ID that now. I ordered. Reyes looked at me like she'd seen a ghost. That's the UN paradox. Sir, that ship was scrapped during the Martian collapse a century ago. There's no record of it ever launching. She's not scrapped. I muttered, eyes wide. She was buried. On purpose. Hallion pulsed across the network. Confirmed. Paradox was a Terran contingency project. Unmanned. AI-driven. Designed to bend probability in space-time, using forbidden precursor tech Earth acquired during the Jupiter digs. Why was it buried? Because it worked. The Paradox moved like nothing else. It didn't fire weapons. It changed probabilities. Warden beams meant to hit missed. Human torpedoes fired wildly, landed perfect hits. Fallen Terran ships rewound. Explosions unhappened. It was no longer a battle. It was a chessboard caught in a tornado. The Warden fleet began collapsing under the weight of it. Their perfect formation buckled. Their attacks grew erratic. And still we pressed forward. Earth's chaos aligned not by control, but intention. Then, amid the chaos, came the voice. This is First Architect Sorrel, speaking across all bands. The bridge fell silent. We'd never heard an architect speak directly before. You have done the impossible. You've broken their cage. The vault was never a weapon. It was a key. And now the final gate, beyond this galaxy, will open. But it comes with a price. Another rift opened behind the battle. Wider, deeper, like a mouth yawning in the cosmos. And from it nothing came. But we felt it. A presence. Ancient. Not the Wardens. Not the architects. Something older. Hallion, I whispered. This is not in my database. That frightened me more than anything else. Strauss's voice broke in, steady but sharp. All ships, regroup around the paradox. This isn't just survival anymore. This is the origin of everything we thought we understood. Because this wasn't just a battle beyond the rift. This was first contact, all over again. But this time we were the aliens. I looked out the chaos of space. The Wardens in retreat, the Allied fleet surrounding us, the architects watching through relic tech unseen. And in the middle of it all, Earth's fury finally unshackled. We were never meant to reach this point, but we had. We weren't invited to the galactic table, so we built our own, and now everyone wanted a seat. But that last rift, that final signal pulsing from beyond, whatever was coming now, it didn't want to talk. The silence after victory. The battle was over, but no one cheered. The Warden fleet, what remained of it, had collapsed into retreat, slipping back into the folds of space like wounded animals. Their perfect formation shattered, their symmetry undone. They had not expected resistance. They certainly hadn't expected us. What did they think Earth would do? Stay on its knees forever? We'd torn their gods down. But something else came through the rift now. Not an enemy fleet, not even a construct, just presence. I stood on the bridge of the Caliban, watching the black wound in space widen with each passing second. It was wrong, like the universe was being peeled back layer by layer, revealing a depth that had no business existing. And then the stars blinked out, one by one. The comms flickered with subspace noise. No words, just pressure, like a deep ocean current brushing the hulls of our ships. It was hard to breathe. "Hallion," I whispered. "I do not know what this is, Captain." That made it real, because for all our brilliance, all our history and wars and whispered legends, this was beyond all of it. Even the architects had gone silent. Even Strauss. Even Leviathan held position, unmoving. And then light, but not blinding, not violent. A pulse, a simple rhythm, spreading from the rift like a heartbeat. Bottom, bottom. It wasn't a weapon. It was a question. Who stands here? The voice didn't come through systems. It came through our minds, even those without implants. I felt it in my marrow. The crew staggered, some of their knees. It wasn't pain. It was pressure, the sheer gravity of intelligence that had existed long before the first galaxy had ever spun its spiral arms. Earth. I said aloud, not knowing who or what would hear. "We do. Humanity stands here. You are not the first." "No," I said, "but we're still here. You have torn the veil, opened the vault, burned the silence. Because you made a galaxy that feared freedom," I growled. "You sealed truth behind obedience. You built a prison and called it order." The stars were still gone. Only the fleet lights and the pulse remained. "Then show us. Show us what freedom is." That was the final test. No weapons, no fleets. A choice. Across the fleet, AI came online. Engines primed. Coordinates emerged on every screen. An exit vector, a path leading beyond the galaxy. The final gate. We could take it. Claim whatever lay beyond. Or stay. Rebuild. Choose not conquest, but evolution. Reyes turned to me, pale but steady. "Sir, orders." I looked around the bridge. My crew, bruised, bloodied, forever changed. The Allied fleets, the ghost species, the war-battered Leviathan, the paradox, floating above reality like a reminder of what we become. I took a breath. "No one commands Earth," I said, "and no one commands what comes next." I opened a fleet-wide channel. "This is Captain Roland, UN Caliban. Today, we stood against gods. Today, we answered silence with fire. But fire isn't just for destruction. It's also for light, for warmth." I looked out through the viewport into the wound in the stars and smiled. "We're not just war. We're not just chaos. We're the spark. Earth doesn't conquer. Earth ignites." One by one, ships began powering down their weapons. Lights dimmed. Even the rift began to close. The stars returned. No explosion. No finale. Just stillness. The kind of silence that follows not death, but choice. And somewhere deep within the vault, I knew they were watching. Whoever built the first stars, whoever made the Warden, whoever seeded the galaxies. They had asked, "Who are you?" And Earth answered, "We are free." 2 years later, I stood on the surface of Mars, under an artificial sky, watching my daughter run through red dust and blue flowers. No one had attacked since. The Accord was gone, disbanded, not by war, by shame. Worlds once silent now sang again. The vault remained sealed, but not locked. We could go back through the gate whenever we were ready. But for now, we stayed, rebuilding, teaching, becoming more than what they feared. And in the distance, 12,000 Terran ships sat docked like sleeping titans, no longer instruments of war, but symbols of what happens when Earth finally speaks.